Hello, friends. Please consider supporting the Flavors and Knowledge podcast. Donated proceeds are applied to absorb the cost of cooking classes and health education for children. Help a child affected with diabetes with a sponsorship donation toward adequately managing the condition through Food First. Chef Walter's Children Diabetes Foundation brings this message. Welcome back, dear friends. This is Chef Walter. Flavors and Knowledge is about ale to the Zeppole. Every March 19th reappears with renewed excitement, and despite their size, everyone eats about 2 or 3, or even 4. Think about it, 6 ounces of delight never tasted any better. We're going to dedicate this particular episode on the Zeppole, the wonderful dessert, sweet, snack, whatever you would like to call it, which is popular on March 19th, the day when the Italians celebrate Father's Day. And so let's begin this particular episode speaking about the correlation between religious events and food, which is very dominant in the Italian culture. Let's look back into the beginning of the story. During a famine in Sicily, when the food was scarce and many people were starving, fate seemed to be the only answer for the less fortunate. Saint Joseph was known as the protector of the Holy Family. Thus, Italians with solid family relationships prayed for the saint to intercede and to ensure successful crops. The famine reached cessation, and in gratitude, people promised to make annual offerings of their most precious possessions, food, of course, in honor of the beloved saint. In ancient Rome, on March 17th, the Liberalia was celebrated, honoring the wine and the wheat divinities. People paid homage to Bacchus by flowing wine into the rivers, while wheat friars celebrated Silenus. 2 days later, on March 19th, the Zeppole for St. Joseph's appeared on every ritual. The version that we consume today was born as a conventual dessert. To many people, the birthplace was the convent of Saint Gregorio Armeno, and for others, the convent of San Patrizia. Some historians agree or argue on the validity of the convent mentioned above, and also included the Holy Cross convent, which is located in Lucca in Tuscany. But as you know, as with everything in Italian food history, we will never really know the natural source, but living with legends make the country an enigma of flavors and traditions, which is intermingled with Christianity, and which pleases the souls and the palace. However, we know for sure that the famous Neapolitan gastronome Ippolito Cavalcanti, also known as the Duke of Buonvicino, included a Zeppole recipe in one of his writings, which occurred about 1837. On March 19th, near the end of winter, the celebration of what is called the agrarian purification rites occurs, and so large bonfires decorate the nights in many southern regions of Italy, and Zeppole floats in large quantity in very hot vegetable oil. Also, children receive wooden toys honoring St. Joseph the Carpenter, but today, however, since 1968, March 19th has been decreed as Father's Day, and children offer gifts to their father in contrast. On March 19th of the 18th century, friar shops throughout the city of Naples moved their operation outdoors to serve the Zeppole directly to the public, standing patiently on the streets. They paid homage to the saint in the most unusual manner. Today, in the imminence of the holiday, St. Joseph Zeppole can be found everywhere in the territory and, of course, year round, especially in the mignon format, the little version we call it, mignon. Many Neapolitans have been forced to submit in the name of a pragmatic and healthy, less but for longer kind of an attitude, and over time sugar and cinnamon have been replaced by custard and wild black cherry as a garnish, which is called amarena. The St. Joseph Zeppole is not a Zeppole like the others. It is perhaps the best known, but also the latest arrival. And before this particular filled version that you enjoy today, there were three other types. There was the classic Zeppole, which is one of the oldest known sweets available in Naples, as we said, but throughout the country, and of course here in the United States. Then there was one called Zeppole Graffa, and we'll explain what it is. And then the last, the Zeppole Pasta Cresciuta, which means leavened dough. The classic Zeppole, the most senior in the shape of a circle, is made with simplicity, mixing sifted flour with water and salt. From the smooth and soft dough, the obtained shapes are fried in hot but not boiling oil and then rolled in sugar and cinnamon mixture. Before the arrival of sugar, honey was the natural sweetener of choice used in its place, and of course before vegetable or olive oil, there was lard as the preferred fat. That would be called the classica Zeppole, with no filling, just a basic dough, deep fried, and then rolled in honey or cinnamon and sugar. The second Zeppole that we know, it's called the Graffa, and it resembles a ciambella, sort of an oversized donut, covered with sugar and cinnamon, but it differs in the type of dough, having potato as an ingredient in the mix for additional softness. Its name correlates to Krapfen, the round Austrian cake which is filled with cream for extra richness. The name of Krapfen derives from the Veronica Kraft, the Austrian baker who invented it, and that is what gave the name to Graffa. Then we have the pasta cresciuta variant, or risen dough, which is a salty Zeppole. Same name, but also different in shape from the other similars. You may shape it like a meatball or better as a clam cake if you live in New England. You take a pinch of the leavened dough and drop it in hot vegetable oil. This type of Zeppole is available in many fry shops along with the typical panzerotti and with or without any filling. You can eat them while standing on a sidewalk, in a park, and enclosed in the classic paper cone, which absorbs the excess oil, but is consumed strictly very hot. And is perhaps the most striking example of what we call the ante litteram, the fast food concept that we see today all across the world. The St. Joseph Zeppole is more recent and made from a completely different type of dough, which derives from the French choux, which is also called beignet. And if you go to New Orleans, you see plenty of those dough that are baked or fried. They are baked in the oven primarily. And for dietary reasons, today again, the St. Joseph Zeppole is offered in the baked variant, which the real one, however, remains the fried version. Eating Zeppole on the 19th is another of those traditions observed by Italians and non-Italians. Despite the size, everyone eats at least 2 or 3, as we said before, because the sweet, delicate pasta beignet, flavored with a hint of cream, and 1 or 2 bits of candy cherry, it is so good, and it goes down so smoothly. Tomorrow we'll begin to diet, but for today, we will celebrate with the Zeppole. This week I also made a stop to my favorite bakery here in the state of Rhode Island, which is called the La Salle. They have 2 locations in the city of Providence. And I went to see exactly how they make the pastry cream, because it's very important to know the difference between the house-made pastry cream and store-bought, commercially loaded with all sorts of ingredients, unwanted ingredients for our body. And I was delighted to see that everything there is made from scratch. And of course, they make the 2 variants, the baked and the fried version. You can also make Zeppole at home. They're not very hard to make, but it is a lengthy process. Or otherwise, you stop and see Michael Manny at La Salle and you feast your senses. I will include the Zeppole recipe and the show notes as part of a link. But I want to thank you for listening, and the celebration that includes the Zeppole, a particular sweet that is connected to religion, just like most of the Italian food around Easter time, especially, or Christmas. There are some dishes that reappear every year and in every family as part of a cultural tradition, but a religion tradition as well. Please follow Flavors and Knowledge on Anchor.fm or any of your preferred platform. If you have a chance, please visit Chef Walter's Cooking School page on YouTube for a selection of video casts all about food, lifestyle, and wellness, all the things that we need. If you happen to be in a mood for some tested recipes, we have a wonderful newsletter which is called also Flavors and Knowledge, just like the podcast, and it's available on Substack.com. I will include all the details and the information on the show notes so that you're able to retrieve them at your convenience. If you attempt to make any Zeppole today or tonight, always keep your eyes on a fire. Make sure that the oven is always in good standing. Remember that it's very important to keep a gas ignited oven or even electric oven. Do not use a fan when you cook the pâté choux dough in your oven, because otherwise you run into the risk of the deflation, meaning that the shells in the oven may look pretty swollen, but they will deflate once they are out of the oven. The blame falls, of course, on the humidity. You have probably cooked the dough on low heat, and so the outside is nice and brown, but the inside remains a little bit raw. The cooking time and the oven temperature are crucial, so don't forget that. And to make the Zeppole San Joseph even tastier, you can put a few little tricks into practice. You can start by putting them in the oven first and then fry them, so that you have 2 types of cooking method. In this manner, you will have donuts that have the consistency of baked Zeppole, but are soft on the inside. Don't use lard, of course. We walked away from that years ago. And use butter if you need to, especially when making the pastry cream. I think I've said it all for today. Let's hail to the Zeppole. And again, I want to thank you for listening. Keep your eyes on the fire, eh? Stay well and be safe. We'll reconnect at the next round. Ciao, ciao.
Flavors and Knowledge is brought to you by Chef Walter's Cooking School in Cranston, Rhode Island. For classes, workshops, events, and programs, please visit our website at chefwalterscookingschool.com. For all other services offered by Chef Walter's Food Group, check out our main website, chefwalter.com.